Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome back to your podcast, the My Love of Golf podcast. Thanks for joining us. Rocketman, how are you? That's better. You're smiling and laughing now.
It cheers me up every time.
That's better.
It cheers me up every time, without fail.
That's right. That Rocket might not stay with us the whole duration of tonight. He's a busy man. As he announced last week, he is on the move. Rocket on the move. Australia's recently launched a rocket into semi-outer space, and we're launching rocket from Victoria to Queensland soon. So he's got a fair bit going on. So he might not stay the duration, but maybe he will. I don't know. How are you, mate? You good?
Oh, I'm good. I'm just here to add some comedic value, as always.
I should have a button for a drum roll and a boom tish, but sorry, I don't know. I think I recorded over it with this. What's that one? Too early for that. Magic.
What are we, 6 months away?
The next one up.
Yeah, we'll be the lead in. Exactly right. The next major will be the Masters, and our Lucas Herbert will be there. And he's at the Dubai DP World Championship. What's it called? What's the actual name of this week's DP? Is it the DP Tour? No, it's not the DP Tour. The DP Tour is what's happening next year. DP World Tour Championship. Yeah, the European Tour final. There you go. Good luck, Lucas. Magic, how are you, mate?
Sorry, mate. Your mic just went up, and I'm assuming you have come back down again.
I'm still here. Are you there?
Yeah.
Your mic's gone
through the roof.
Okay.
Blood pressure.
I think you're back.
I was excited. I am excited. So maybe I'll have to start talk a little slower, a little softer, and slow it down a bit because I'm excited. I've raced home. Busy day at Drum and Golf. Franklin Street's leading drum and golf store. It always gets a laugh at. You know, they say, "Oh, is this the only one in the city?" I said, I guarantee it's the biggest one in Franklin Street." And people look back and they go, "Oh, it's the only one, isn't it?" That's right. You're a funny guy.
They still think of the old. Was it a Titleist golf ball on the roof? The golf ball that used to be down the other end, the old shop.
I think it had a few iterations, depending on who wanted to pay the money to get the bird poo painted over. But I know it was before my time. Yeah. Magic, how are you? Actually, funnily enough, I'll tell. I had a visitor today from one of the. I got the PK hat on. Of course, I've got a collection of PK hats there because I pay them for me to wear their hats. And I had one of the members come in and say, "Oh, the guy that played with me in Woolley." The joke lives. It's real. It's alive. He got the rolling funny gag. Yes, of course, I did play with him, Muley, and he finished pretty well in last week's European Tour. He's on fire, the young man. He's getting a lot of coverage, a lot of PR. I saw him on the Hero World Challenge with Iona Stephen at Top Golf Dubai. So good luck this week, Minwoo as well.
There's a T-shirt in that, I reckon. One with your face on it. It's like, I played with Minwoo.
There's probably a few T-shirts that we could make ourselves laugh. I'm not sure if anyone else is laughing, but someone does laugh at that rolling gag. So thank you very much. Magic, how are you?
I'm excellent, thanks. I'm a little bit concerned. Rocket's leaving early, and I just hope it's not because Matt Molliker dropped in some very nice homemade biscuits, and I don't want to think that he's offended, and that's why he's shooting through. Biscuit
Wars are on. Biscuit Wars.
The lengths that people go to try and get shortbreads, it's unbelievable.
You should have seen my wife's face. My wife got back from Pilates, and here's me, and she walks into the kitchen and
Cookie
sees
Monster.
This container with cookies, and she's like, "Mike didn't make those. Where on earth did they come from?"
How many were left when she came in?
No, I'd only eaten one when she came in. So Matt was nice enough to drop off half a dozen, and one was gone. I had to try one straight away. Matt was very honest. He said they're good by themselves, but they're great with a cup of coffee. And I'd already had a couple of coffees, so I just had one. And then the wife and I had one later that evening, I think, with a cup of tea. And then, there's no way they made it through the next day. They were all gone. Like you said, Rocket, it's crumbs going everywhere, and my face just chomping into these biscuits.
You know when you're on an honest Aussie golf podcast that doesn't have the influence of brewing companies and betting and whatever else, when we're talking about good, wholesome home cooking from Nonomolica,
That's it.
Mar Rocket, and the topic of we should be sitting here actually eating them and testing them. Matt was pretty proud of
They were very good.
His creation.
The Biscuit.
Oh, yeah, he already sent me photos and threw out a challenge.
They were actually, I expected them because the ones that my nonna would make, they were a little bit more harder. These were quite nice and quite soft and fluffy. And they had as soon as he brought the bag, I could smell us. There's lemon in this. He said, there's a little bit of lemon, yes. And I was like, they're very good. They were very good. Look, no offense to my Rocket, of course. If she wants to send in some more for me to try just to see them side by side, we can look after that as well.
Again, I still think the lemon, that's just that. All that was is the fragrance of Matt's tears, realizing he's not going to get his lips around some shortbreads.
Look, I just want to give a shout out to the official shortbread sponsor of this podcast, and that is Mar Rocket down there in Port Arthur, Tasmania, making the traditional Mar Rocket generation after generation, founded in Scotland recipe.
150 years old, that sucker, that recipe.
You're not going to get this guy past the Scottish shortbreads. So Matt Mollica, look, I'll take them. We'll try them, but it's gonna. I don't think that it's gonna sway me. But you know where to drop them in, Matt. So drop them into Mike first by all means. This could be, the Italian biscuit versus the Scottish biscuit. Anyway, I'm sure people, if you haven't tuned in by now,
is this our version of like SGL versus PGA Tour?
Exactly.
That's it. There's Saudi money somewhere.
We're paying in biscuits.
SGL, PGL, for some point, and maybe just because I'm naive and didn't research enough, but I thought they were sort of similarly intertwined, but of course they're not. PGL, what's the story there, Mike? What's going on?
I had my update from PGL from the No Laying Up guys today. They released an extensive 2.5-hour podcast with the man behind it. It's a bit different to what I thought. I'm not going to remotely do it justice if I give an overview. It's a little bit of what people think around a bit of a Formula One vibe, but at the same time, it's not so much about them making the money. It's about, I'm going to say the phrase that Rocket loves. It really probably is a little bit more about growing the game. And yes, they're going to reward the top guys, but one of the big things that I took out of it that was really interesting was because my world is built around every day is around strategy and building plans for the future and the way my business works. And the way that he talked about it was the strategies that they're looking at around 2030s. Like we need to be talking now about what we're doing then. Like we can't be just ad hoc. It just doesn't work that way. And one of the things that he talked about was sponsorship. And he said, right now, any given week, you could be a sponsor of a PGA Tour event and it costs you, $12 million, whatever it is. Now, your major competitor could quite easily be a major sponsor of a PGA Tour event 3 weeks later. And there's nothing stopping that. There's also the problem that you might put the money up at the start of the year and you might not actually get anybody play because you just don't know who's going to be there. And so some of the things that they're looking to implement as a part of this, if it gets off the ground, is there'll be rules around who can sponsor and a competitor can't cut you off like that. And effectively, it'll be, I think it's an 18 tournament season, but everyone's playing. So the top, whatever it is, 60 players in the world, 55 players in the world, they will be there for every one of those 18 events. So you'll never get an event where, your top ranked player is number 25 in the world and you've got a handful in the 30s. It's going to be, no, these are the top X amount of players in the world and they'll be there for every event. Some of that stuff was really interesting. And it's got some really good thought behind it, but then there's pieces that I sort of heard that didn't really resonate. Team colours and names on the backs of jerseys, a bit like one day cricket. I don't know. I don't get a feel for that. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I tell people that anyone who wants to sort of get a handle on it, listen to that. It was quite interesting.
They'll never get anything perfect with any sort of tool. There's going to be a trade-off or a compromise somewhere. Yeah, the one day, the names on the jumpers and stuff like that, that's a bit silly. The players will have none of it.
No, I think he mentioned it around the context of, standing 300 yards down the fairway, looking back at the tee, I wouldn't have a clue who's teeing off. But if it's in the colours and I know that group's got this person in it, or when they're coming forward, I can tell. So that was the way to recognise. But yeah, not sure.
We all thought the great Kerry Packer was nuts when he launched World Series cricket and pink uniforms for the West Indians and so on and so forth. Big gruesome legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also you got to put it in the context of you've got a lot of players that were basically working, that were playing for peanuts, putting on this game, and it wasn't really sort of being shown in its true light. Kerry Packer, being a sport fan, just very innovative, and then I can't remember the guy that also helped with the concept as well. I'm actually going to want to go back and watch that Channel 9 series Packer with Lockie Hume.
That was good.
So that, so they changed the game because they turned it from being a, still just an amateur sport into professional sport. We've got PGL and stuff. It's already a professional sport. So really, and this is the thing I can still not get my head around is it's still that the 1% of the 1% with their snouts in the trough. And it's like, what do we the fans get out of this? And this is what it all comes. This is where it all comes from. Well, it's two parts. It comes from you've got a rumbling around all these other players, and I rattled off all my stats the other week around other than professional sporting codes. They're trying to make more money at the top. But the thing is, though, their life cycle, when you're a top line player, your ability to earn is far outweighs anyone else. There's some players on tour that, yes, they might have some $1 million seasons, but they might only have a short window, and they're toiling away for the rest of their life, or waiting to get onto the Champions Tour for their retirement fund. I don't see what it's in it for the fans, right? That's the other thing. Kerry Packer was all about this. He wants to put something on TV that's going to get eyeballs. Sure, it helped him, but it also helped. If you think about it, transformed the game. Well, it literally transformed the game, and I can't think of how PGL, SGL is going to transform any of the game. How is it going to actually make it grow?
Yeah, he does talk a bit about it. One of the things around the TV, which was good, was it was like, this is the block, and it's going to be a shotgun start. So everyone's on at the same time, so we can watch everyone in that period and things like that. That were just just little tweaks on what we get now. I mean, right now, if you want to watch even the Euro Tour, right, you can only see the back nine, or either the back nine on a Sunday or the second half of the field. Makes it tough.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's a lot there. There's a lot there to take in.
Yeah, I still think that where the players don't do themselves any favours is their I'm going to probably butcher this big word, reticence to be more engaging on, they're worried about the hot mics and stuff like that. And I still think that actually probably needs to be on the broadcaster and the PGA Tour to probably have some delays in there so they can protect the players. 100%. And I still think if they got more caddy player conversational stuff, that's the stuff that the golf nerds want. They want to see that. What are they talking about? They're talking over a shot. Like, for example, one of my more favourite ones, right? If you hear Bones retell the story of the shot that Mickelson hit on 13, imagine if the mic was like right up close and they could capture that.
Yep.
That'd be fascinating stuff.
Like you said, they record it live as he's hit it and he's walking. They cut back to the video and the audio from whatever it is and play
go back
it. So
and play it.
Something that they can cut it out whatever you like.
Yeah.
It's easy enough to do. But them talking through club selection, what's the wind doing, processes. I know we're not the biggest Bryson fans, but I would be interested to see some of the jargon that he runs through over any given stock shot. It'd be ridiculous, but it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
It would give the commentators something different to talk about too, rather than some of the, okay, there's always some quality commentary, but there's some dribble that comes out as well.
Yeah.
So it would give them something different. But when you think about it, it is probably one of the only televised sports that doesn't have, player or referee, umpire, voice activation. Like every sport has some level of on ground audio to support the, telling the story. And golf is the only one that really doesn't have that in that level of depth.
Yeah, well, like if I go NFL, right? I'm an NFL nut, right? So in the middle of NFL season, so one of the things NFL Network do is they have sounds of the game. So every week there's an episode, and they've got certain players mic'd up during the games, and then you go back and actually watch that. It's not the same as in the moment, but it's actually really, really, some of it's actually really compelling TV to watch. 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just another thing that where you go, this is why I get sucked into this game, is because they just do a really good job of packaging their content.
Yeah.
And actually, I completely forgot, and I haven't watched it yet. So obviously my team played Monday Night Football, and there's this little thing that's pivoted off that. So they actually have Peyton Manning and Eli Manning, his brother, who are two of the most underrated funny dudes on the planet. And they basically just two brothers sitting on a couch watching the game, talking about stuff, and then they'll talk about the game, and they're quite intelligent when it comes to it. And then they'll have a particular guest, and it was apparently Phil Mickelson was on for like half an hour the other night. So I'm looking forward to watching that.
I haven't seen any of it, but I did see some people talking about it. Yeah, but I wasn't sure what it was, so that makes more sense now. Yeah. That'd be good to see.
Phil would be fantastic in the. He already hosed Faudo the other year.
Yes.
in the
commentary box.
In the commentary box. Yeah.
Okay, Mike, how did we go on our tips last week? Did we have any joy?
Number one who was right there at the pointy end was Matthew Wolff. Didn't get it done. Jason Kokrak was the man. He came home strong. So he basically finished with the best round, final round. Came over top of him with a 5 under, won by 2. Scotty Scheffler had been there. He wasn't in the picks, but he's sort of been doing quite well the last few weeks. But yeah, it was a bit disappointing. I thought Matthew Wolff might be starting to run away with the end of the third round. I think it was 17th holes, a drivable par 4. He could easily get there. He laid up. So the hole had a water carry for his second shot, unless you take the driver, which he could clear. He laid up with a 8-iron off the tee and then had a wedge in. That's how short the hole was, over the water.
Mm.
I think he clubbed down into the wind and just tried to hit it a bit easier. He rinsed it. He rinsed it, gave up a double, went from 1 shot leader to 1 shot back to Scotty Scheffler, and then finished up 18. And yeah, that kind of just put him on the back foot and just couldn't catch him on the Sunday. We did have the first round leader pick of Russell Henley. He was about 67-1, which was good, but it splits 4 ways when you get a tie, so it still makes money. But yeah, it wasn't a bad week, but yeah, it could have been a lot better if Matthew Wolff had come home.
Now, what about over in the Golf in Dubai Championship? We didn't figure there either.
No, I think we all liked Minwoo. It had already started by the time we started talking last week.
Yeah.
And Minwoo went really well.
It did.
I know you were watching on the Sunday night, Ross. I was watching until about the 16th, I want to say, when Minwoo made a par. He missed the birdie putt that he should never have been having after his rules hiccup.
So what happened? Just remind us what happened there.
So he hit a tee ball and they were looking for it and couldn't find it. And basically they found it half a second after the rules official called time on the 3 minutes. And they basically talked the rules official into saying, no, you're wrong. He found it in time. And somehow he reversed his call and gave it to him. Then he got relief that he shouldn't have got, and he actually had an okay shot into a green and hits it from there to the green and had about 8 feet for birdie. So he went from lost ball, you're heading back to the tee box, 3 off the tee, to an 8-foot birdie putt, and he just pushed it a smidge. So
was Slugger sneaking around the sand dunes?
Well, I got the text message from Cheese. Cheese was watching it. He's like, "Are you watching this?" And I flicked it over straight away. He's like, "I can't believe what's happening here."
Did they go back to the? I was probably falling asleep on the couch by this stage. Did they go back to and get any tour truck footage or anything like that?
That's what I said. That's the first thing I said to Cheese. I said, look, surely from here they just pull up the footage and say, right, this is when you got to the area. That's when your 3 minute starts. This is when the ball was found. That was 3 minutes and 5 seconds. It didn't make big news, but it was touch and go. But yeah, in a final round when he was at that point, I want to say 2 off the lead. It was interesting. It would have been disappointing because, I think if he wins, it would have been a massive story. And he probably, it was so touch and go that it's probably almost better that he didn't win, because you don't want that on him to think that someone downplaying his efforts, because he's been playing super golf. I think he's a massive chance to win this week. I think he's massively underrated to win the whole lot this week.
He is backing it up week in, week out with top level performances. One obviously a Rolex event this year, and he just continues to go from strength to strength and isn't having those fall away rounds that he was having previously. Okay, he's still having a few ordinary holes here and there, but his bounce back ability, if there is such a term in your stats there, Mike, bounce back ability. If there isn't, you can have that one. He's bouncing back very well. So good luck, Minwoo. It's going to be great this week, this DP World Tour Championship. I'm really looking forward to it. I like where they play. The course is pretty good. I like that 18th hole. I'll always remember Henrik Stenson when he won there and hit that 5-wood into about 3 feet. I'll never forget that. So I always remember that course for that. But it's going to be great. We'll talk about that in a sec. But yeah, I was watching because I sent you a message about Francesco Laporta.
The door.
What do you call him?
The door.
What do you call him? The door?
Italian.
Laporta. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. No parlo italiano. Sorry.
Yeah.
Scusa. But he's been sort of popping up in and around the upper ends of the fields for a little while, and there's something about that young man that catches my eye. I don't know whether it's his swing or his swagger. I'm not sure, but obviously he's playing decent golf because going back to when Herbie won in Ireland, he was up there, and he was the one that had those series of chip-ins and up and downs from sort of nowhere to get into contention back then. And anyway, I said, and I was thinking about it. I thought, I'm going to talk about Laporta. And obviously we went off script version, and never mentioned Laporta. And that's why I sent the message going, Laporta, I fancy him, but he could win at some stage.
Well, I've just looked up as you've said it. So since September, 4th, 6th cut, 39 cut, 7th and 2nd. That's pretty good golf. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 top 10s in his last 7 starts. There
you go, listeners. One to watch. If you haven't jumped onto the Francesco Laporta train, jump on that one. What else we got? My top Scott. Just embarrassing. I was nowhere.
I liked Grant Forrest, but no, Scott Jamieson was the man.
Scotty Jamieson, captain of Melbourne City, was the top Scott.
He was.
Well done to you, Scott Jamieson.
Bobby Mack wasn't far. You had Bobby Mack, didn't you?
I think I would have said if you replay, it's hard to go past Bobby Mack. He's got to bounce back at some stage, but always kind of fancy Grant Forrest at the moment. And Grant got off to a flyer, but he's obviously
he did.
He's only shot -12, so all credit to Grant for posting a reasonably strong score. But Bobby Mack -15. But yeah, Scott Jamieson. Good to see Scott Jamieson up there, the real Scott Jamieson.
How are you going when you go and play in a European Tour event, you shoot 12 under, and you get £6,000, €6,000, sorry?
Yeah.
I mean, look, don't get me wrong. If someone wants to give me €6,000, I'll take it. I won't shoot that score at all. But yeah, it's interesting. Once the money tips in next year, the prize money will be kicking back up again, you'd think, especially next week, or this week, I should say.
Okay, what about this week? It's in America. What's the tournament called? It's
RSM Classic. Bit of Sea Island magic.
That's it.
Just get on the Sea Island, boys.
The Sea Island Mafia.
Yeah, that's it. Harris English.
What's this? Talk to us about Sea Island, Rocket. Give us the lowdown for the listeners that don't know the Sea Island story. Talk to us through Sea Island.
It's somewhere between South Carolina and Georgia, and it's probably been built with Davis Love's own bare hands, and it's where a fair gaggle of the tour pros make it home. It's like the Southerners' Jupiter.
Okay,
that's it. It's
the Confederate Jupiter.
It's halfway between Savannah and Jupiter, so it's on that coastline, and it's
like, isn't it like Kiz? Harris English.
Kiz is he's in South Carolina. Yeah. I brought up the list because I knew we'd talk about it.
I've jumped on a few of the South Carolina boys already. I've gone early.
Well, Grayson Siggs there. He won. I think he just got announced tonight as Rookie of the Year on the Corn Ferry. Jonathan Bird, Harris English, Joey Garber, Patton Keziah.
Oh, the Kiz. Oh, I think the other Kiz.
The other Kiz.
I'm actually on that. I'm actually on him.
Yep. Zach Johnson, Brian Harmon, Matt Kuchar, Davis Love third, Kevin Mitchell, JT Poston, Andrew Novak, Hudson Sawford, Josh Cheatham, Michael Thompson, all playing out of Sea Island, St. Simon's Island, where they're playing this week. Like that's, you wouldn't struggle to get a game on a Tuesday afternoon. I wouldn't think there'd be a few blokes floating around.
GB and I, Justin Rose and Gray McDowell are playing. That's GB in Northern Ireland, but Seamus Powers in. Who else have we got? That's Matty Wallace,
the Olympic silver medalist.
The Olympic silver medalist, Menace and medalist. Yes. Who else? But there's a few Aussies in there. Jason Day is playing, and
Cam Smith's there.
Matty Jones is there.
Cam Davis.
I'm on Sabo just because I had to. He's 126. Got to have throw a couple of pennies on that one.
I was going to say throw a couple of whatever the currency is of his native land, but I can't think of what it is. So I wouldn't have a clue.
Silver medals. That's what it is. That's what the currency is. It's silver medals.
Have you invested on the Brontoslava boy?
Yeah. Why not? Bit of each way. It doesn't hurt.
Very good. Okay, good. No, look, Rocket, you stick to your guns. That's what I do know about you. Like the test pattern behind you when you see the video and you've got the test pattern there. I've just worked it out. I'm a bit slow off the ranks these days, but the test pattern signifies your ongoing social media hiatus.
Yeah.
It's back in the day for the younger listeners, when I was a young boy and you fell asleep on the lounge, you'd wake up and the test pattern would be on. Now it's
the old Open Championship at like 4 a.m, and all of a sudden you wake up and all you hear is this.
Actually, I'm gonna say this to my dad because I know he'll be listening. If he's listened this far, it wasn't me falling asleep on the couch, and it was him falling asleep on the couch and me getting up saying, "Dad, go to bed," and turning the test pattern off.
Yeah.
But you'd wake up and you'd hear the.
Yeah.
So
and,
that's
and the TV. So we had the old TIAC in the old the wooden frame, and you turn the channels with the dial, right? So golf back then in Tassie's on Win TV. So
you turn
channel 6. Two channels, 2, which is ABC, and 6. And that's it. You basically wear those 2 spots out.
Unbelievable.
If you are young and we've lost you, but before you had to turn a TV channel with a knob, and if you had a rich TV, if you had a wealthy TV, you would go click click click, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you had one of Rocket's old school TVs, you would have to dial it in like a radio. No, they don't even know what a radio is anymore. Jeepers, weepers. There you go. But
if you're really well off, you got the ones with the buttons in the row down the side. So you just press those.
I like to talk a bit about Scotland and my times in Scotland, my trips, and my earliest trip to Scotland. You know what we had to do for the TV, and if any of them my Scottish compatriots are listening, they will remember this. You know what we had to do in Scotland for TV? You'd have to drop money in the back of it.
Oh, really?
There was a money slot. You had to go and put 10 pence. I don't actually know how much it was, but you'd have to put money in the back and that was how they paid the license. So it was like a license, and the TVs had a money slot in the back, and you had to put money in the back of the TV.
I should have had my own money slot every time the grandfather wanted me to change the channel.
That's it. Get a payment.
Rodney, change the channel, son. Shout out to Ben Flavel from Adelaide, who I caught up with St Andreas Beach last week. He actually put another request in. He's anointed Mike as the unofficial ambassador for King Island on mainland Melbourne. He's fascinated with the cheese to biscuit ratio. He followed up on that today. But he did also put a request in for a podcast in accent. He wants me to do one in
that's fine. I was gonna say, as long as I don't have to do one.
An entire Scottish accent. I don't think I can do it, but anyway, maybe one day we'll give that a go. Anyway, back to point of order. Adam Scott's playing.
He's another one who's a chance.
Yeah. Oh, great! We get to see his fantastic dress sense.
The double pleats.
You think you go with the Southern Brown again?
Jeez, fair dinkum. Like as if he's, well, put it this way. Do you know what? It's probably a deliberate thing. Takes the focus away from his putting.
I had a Facebook memory come up this week, and it was from Aussie Masters when Tiger was here. I want to say 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he was wearing that's not that long ago. He was wearing the baggy-ish pants and looked a lot younger, and Stevie was there, and guys, a different time. But yeah, Adam Scott's still wearing that kit now, so it's different. He's trying to bring it back.
Yeah, thank God he wasn't wearing those ones during the Masters.
Hey,
yeah,
Adam can wear what Adam wants. It's okay.
He's still the ladies will still love him.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay, who's your picks? Who are you going with, Mike, at the RSM Classic?
It's one of those weeks where I probably like a lot of guys at the top of the favourite end. So I try to only stick with, 3 or 4 picks. Normally I pick 5, but I've sort of got 4 that I'm looking around. Cameron Smith's one of the 4. Corey Connors, but I'm a little bit worried he hasn't played in a while, but he stacks up on every other stat.
Oh yeah, I'm on him.
Russell Henley. And I don't love Scotty Scheffler, but his form is just impossible to knock. The only thing against him is last week he really should have won, and he didn't win. And if he's not winning that, and he nearly won the week before, eventually he's going to get to a point where he's got to walk through the door and do it, or he's just going to tip off, and then he's got to sort of spend a few months fighting back again, I think. So if he does it this week, great. If he doesn't, I don't know. I could see him finishing, 20th or 30th when he should really be easily top 10.
You got a market on top non-American?
Top non-American? Yeah, I reckon we do. Who do you like, more importantly?
It's a hard pick. Louis
is a very good pick.
The mattress king.
Yep. No, he would definitely be right up there as one person that a lot of people are picking.
Okay.
I'll find out.
Can't hurt you. We can't go with the top Scot because there is only one. It's only Rusty Knox as the solo Scot. So good luck to you, Rusty. Hope you fare well. Okay. Rocket, anything else for you on the RSM Classic?
No, I'm on a few of the Sea Island Mafia dudes.
Mafia. All right, well, let's have a little look at. So we will. Thanks for staying with us this long. We do have one of the listener questions that we will get to from last week. It was a couple of listener questions we want to talk about in the back half of this section. Some of the golf courses, public access golf courses that we think represent quality, value, quality v value, value only, quality only. So we're going to talk about that for a wee bit. But let's just talk about the Dubai. Sorry, Rocket, you. Okay, Rocket's given us the official 2-minute countdown, so let's be quick with that. Let's Dubai, okay. Mike, where are we at? Give us the lowdown on Dubai.
Yeah, look, it's the big one, is it not? It's the one where everyone's coming back to try and take the money and run.
Colin's going for Colin's playing. Will Zalatoris is playing.
Yep. Rory, or the other Rory.
Patrick Reed's playing. He must have got a couple of shipping containers over there via DP World, because of all of his COVID problems. So he probably wasn't able to fly, so they had to ship him over there in a few containers. Actually, this is the site of the Sandwedge Shovelgate.
Was it?
From memory?
Oh,
yeah,
really?
actually, I think it is. It was Shovelgate.
That was right around this time. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was a couple of weeks before the President's Cup.
Yep. Yeah, that was. No, that you're right. There's everybody's there. Rory, the other Rory, Cole, Fitzpatrick, Answer, Sergio, Tommy Fleetwood, Wiesberger, Billy Hose over there trying to maximise a couple of big wins. Tyrrell, Paul Casey, Minwoo, everyone's playing.
Billy Hose probably trying to see if he can get a lifetime membership with the European Tour.
Well, I don't know enough about the final. How do they do this race to Dubai? How does it work out? How do you win?
I think they've got. I think they've classified like 20 particular events that is their premier ones.
Yep.
And if you're playing in those ones, they go to points, and it's just basically just wherever you finish, and you get to the end of it, and they're actually playing for. There's no net.
Yeah.
So she's off the stick.
Yeah.
No handicap or anything like that. No Canadian foursomes or half sets. It's like she's mano a mano off the stick.
Yeah.
And I think based on where you finish, then your total points.
Yeah.
Like that dictates who's going to take it out.
And is this the last round? Is it not? Or am I going crazy?
Yeah.
It is.
I don't know who is actually the leader. I think
I can tell you.
Colin's actually near the top.
Yeah, Cole's leading. Billy Horschel, John Rahm, who's not playing. Tyrrell, Minwoo, Matty Fitz. That's the top 6. I honestly think Minwoo is a massive chance to win. I don't know what I should preface this by saying before anyone goes and sells their house and puts money on it, because I think I know what I'm talking about. I've got no idea how this structure works, but I'm watching him playing very good golf. I'm watching guys come in to the market like Colin, who we know is an absolute freak show golfer, sensational golfer. But people start going, well, he's going to win because he's very, very good. And you know what he is. But there's no reason why Minwoo can't do it. No. There's absolutely none. Rory's the same. Rory can play good golf. But if you said to me right now, who's playing better golf? Fitzpatrick, Answer, Sergio, Fleetwood, Wiesberger, Horschel, Hatton, Casey, Minwoo. Minwoo's got all of them covered.
Yeah.
Comfortably.
Oh, and Morikawa's actually probably a little bit more streaky than anything. He's either ice cold or he's just lava hot. And
if he has a putting week, great. He'll win.
You talked about that the other week.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, Minwoo, I won't be shocked at all if he's, right there come the weekend or come late on Sunday.
Did you see Paul Gow doing a bit of commentary on the European Tour last week?
No, I didn't.
No, he's been doing a little bit of, like Radar Riley. Rocket's going to head out. Rocket, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure as always, gentlemen.
See you out with some of this. See you next week, Rocket. Have a good week, and good luck with your Sea Island Classic.
Yeah,
the Sea Island Sailors.
Hopefully it pays off.
That's it.
All right, see you guys.
See you next week. And then it was just the two of us.
That was two.
And Gowie is doing a bit of commentary, a bit of Radar Riley style sort of special comments, and he was interviewing Podrick Harrington, and Podrick had just had 67, maybe a 65 and 3 67s, and played really pretty well.
Yep.
But he needed to finish top 5 to make the top 50 in the points rankings here to qualify for this week, which was a true competitor, what he wanted to do. And Gary was like, oh, you still a chance, Podrick. And Podrick's just like rolling his eyes going, no, I'm already out of it, and it's not going to happen. And, it is what it is. And no, he's still a chance, mate. And he was like, no. Righty. Anyway, thanks, mate. See ya. It was like he wasn't very happy, but anyway.
Well, he was close. I think he was close to getting in. I think he had a really good final round. It was like
No, he was close. But in his mind, he'd already dropped a couple away between finishing the round. He sunk a great birdie putt in the last to have 67 and have a sniff, and then someone else had finished and bumped him down one, and Gary was like, mate, you're still a chance, and like he's like, I'm not a chance, no chance. No, your chance. No chance. See you
It was
later.
Andy Sullivan, because Andy Sullivan went like 7 under in his last 8 holes, something like that, and he needed a T4, maybe tied with 3 other people, and gets him in. And it was like there was one putt made right at the end. It might have been Laporta who made it, that basically bumped him to the next spot down, and he didn't get in. So he was the next man out, I think, from memory. Yeah, I saw Gowie's got his new TV shows, or the 2 new shows they're running on Foxtel, but I didn't see him on the coverage.
Yeah, he's doing the cover. You didn't see him. You just heard his voice.
Yeah,
but the shows have been going for a while. They're sort of on the loop now with the Foxtel sort of replay, the Your Golf Show, and which has got a couple of segments in that, brought to you by Drum and Golf.
There is.
And whatever it's called, Teed Up with Gowie, or Your Golf Tee. So he's got Warney and a couple of horse racing people and a few other rugby, the Burgess brothers, and decent golfers too, by the way. No, they're always good. If you've got Foxtel, you can catch those shows. You see Gowie teeing it up and having some fun. Okay, so you're going with Minwoo, are you?
Yeah, I am. I'm happy to take Minwoo. I think, he's versus the guys that people would say are the big top line players. His odds are much, much better. I happily bet him each way, and just hopefully he can get that top 5 that I think he can.
Not a Minwoo v Herbie showdown at the end there. What are your thoughts on the Herbie?
Yeah, well, Herbie certainly can give it a shake this week as well. I just don't know how it stacks up to win the overall. But certainly Herbie's playing good enough golf to.
Herbie was like 20th, I think, so for the overall. So yeah, Minwoo could win the overall, and then there's the event. Yeah. Well, there's a few Aussies playing: Herbie, Scrivo, Minwoo.
Yeah, I think they're the only ones.
Yeah, that's a good feel. As I say, I enjoy watching this event. I love it. But I'll be staying up late again.
I'll be definitely watching a bit of it for sure.
Now let's keep rolling on. Before we get
more questions.
We didn't really cover off
all of them.
There was one in particular from Pultz, and also the Ginger Ninja, Daniel Crawford, who is a country boy. He's up there in Stawell region, sort of Ballarat, Stawell, sort of northwestern Victoria, and very, very good golfer. Loves to get around and play a bit of golf, but doesn't obviously get down to Melbourne as much as he'd like. And he said, what are your thoughts on some of the best value courses for people visiting Melbourne that might want to play? And I'm going to assume some public access golfers, some golf that you can get access to. We talked recently about Sandy Links, very good. And we talked about its significance in, the golf landscape of Melbourne and what that offers in terms of that Sandbelt experience, being right opposite Melbourne, being in the heart of the Sandbelt, but being public access. So there's probably a few others. I've had the pleasure of playing a couple of my personal Mornington Peninsula favourites fairly recently, like this week, last week. Mike, you're the public golf expert, being, you're not a traditional member of a golf club. You're a member of a great golf club, the Great Men of Golf Association, GMGA.
GMGA, yeah.
Which travels around all of Victoria playing great golf. So you've had more experience on a lot of the public access courses. But before we do that, I've got some posts. It's Rossco's mailbag.
Oh, I know what that is. I can tell what that is.
Now, it's not a podcast if we don't give a shout out to our friends. And if you're watching the video, you can see me unwrap this. And here we go. It's a couple of fresh copies of the Lynx Diary, which I purchased the other week. The one that I really wanted was volume number 3. Some great photography in there. I'm not a great reader, but I get it for those lovely, lovely pictures of Graham McCubbin, G-Cub over there, one of the quartet of the boys who have, put this together, the Lynx Diary. You can see it there, number 3. Can't wait. I literally just pulled it out of the international cardboard packaging there. But the other thing that I did get, which you still can get, is I got the full volume of number 1. Now, here is my original number 1 here. 2 number 1s. Why have you got 2 number 1s? Well, this was the what do you call it when there's a pre-edition? I'm not sure. It was the first one that they made before they put the full. So they went back and made this test case, and everyone bought that, and that was the proof of concept that people are going to love, reading about the Scottish Lynx. And then they went and put some more content in and released number 1.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so this one's got a little bit more juice in it than this one, but this one's very special because they made, and I've spoken about this when I spoke with Jamie Darling, who is one of the other directors of Link's Diary. They made a limited edition of 100, and I didn't realize, but Jamie said, "I'll send you one, Ross, and you can have a look." And it wasn't until I was talking to him on that episode with Jamie Darling, maybe 30 or 40 episodes ago, but it was the most recent one because he's been on twice.
Yeah.
So I looked at the back and he said, "Oh, we made 100." And I was looking at the back here, looking at the pictures, and right at the back there, which you can barely see on the video there.
Yeah.
It's got the limited edition. They're all numbered.
Are they?
Yeah. You know what he sent me?
What?
Number 1.
Hey.
This one here is number 1 of 100 of the original print run of the original Link's Diary. So
wow.
Those guys and this magazine will always have a very special place in my heart. But now I've obviously gone back and got the full number 1.
I've got no idea which one I have.
Number 2, right there. And if you've just got the latest one, that's number 3.
I've got a 1, 2, and a 3. Yeah, I don't know which number 1 I've got.
Okay, well, I think you can. Oh, maybe we can get together with a couple of Matt Mollica's biscottis and have a little cup of tea and a biscotti and compare number 1s.
That's it.
Magazines, that is. So just thank you to the boys. I did pay for these. It's not a paid. I bought these and shipped them across, and the shipping was really quick. I only bought them a couple of weeks ago, and they're here already.
And not only is it quick shipping, it's reasonable price shipping, and it's very securely shipped. Even when it turned up the other day, that 3rd edition, I said to the missus, "Have a look at this. This is really, really good shipping for a magazine."
I'm not sure if Jamie Darling is still hand packing all of these, but he was at one stage in his lounge room there. But no, it's beautiful. It's the same sort of thing as Golfer's Journal. I got my latest Golfer's Journal the other week. They're just sitting there, all there, number 1 through to 15 or something. Craft Golf have got, I think I'm missing number 3 and number 5. And Will down in Tassie, who runs Craft Golf, who is the representative, Australian representative. You can get the Golfer's Journal if you're not a subscriber. You can get them off Will at Craft Golf, as you can get some No Laying Up merchandise if you're an NLU fan. You can get it off Will. Once again, that's not a paid advertisement. Will's just a great friend, and he's a Golfer's Journal guy. So there you go.
That was it. No, and Will's been great for me because I had a couple of things that I wanted from the NLU site a while back, and he had them added on to his first shipment over. So he did me a favor there, which was really good. Pretty
big coup to get access to the NLU merch distribution here in Australia. It was great work.
I think a lot of people want that sort of stuff. I mean, I know the Random Golf Club goes through the
Birds of Condor
guys. I should say, which I'm wearing their top right now. I should say. Also paid, not sponsored. I love the Birds of Condor stuff, but yeah, they bring theirs in. So just to have that access to it makes it so much better for people here because shipping is just exorbitant.
While we're giving a few shout outs, you can. I know you're sitting there looking at my wonderful top, going, "Wow, that's a really nice top, Ross. Where did you get that?" Well, of course, I got it from my golf. Yeah. But it is from the Under Armour range, and it sort of leads into what we're talking about with public access golf. So yesterday, Under Armour Walkinshaw Sports more so held a golf event, just to welcome some of their partners back to golf, appreciating the fact that we've been locked up, and they wanted to get us together just to treat us to a round of golf. So there was myself and a handful of Walkinshaw Under Armour's golf partners down there. Some of my other colleagues from the other Drummer Golf stores in Melbourne had a round of golf at the Dunes. So I just want to say thank you to Walkinshaw Sports for hosting us down there. It was great to see the Dunes again. And I'd never really, you can only wear so much gear. I do buy it and pay for my gear. So I bought some Under Armour gear because I wanted to do the right thing and wear an Under Armour shirt and pants and shirt and top to the Under Armour event. And it's great gear. So thank you. I had the opportunity to play with Dylan Shield.
Yep.
Great young man from the Essendon Bombers. And
Rocket would have been happy. Rocket, I should have told Rocket. He's not on socials.
That's what happened. I was going to get Dylan to, make a little video and post it for Rocket, just to give him a bit of a rev up, but no point. He's not watching anyway.
No.
And Jeremy Gleeson, who's just finished with the Bombers after 9 years in the system. He's two great young men. But I've got to say, John Dyer from Air Adventure.
Yeah.
Very happy that we understand what the value and the importance of the Pilatus PC12 to the golf tourism industry of Australia. Was very impressed that we know when it's coming down over the Barnbougle Lost Farm that we can pick out the Pilatus PC12 on approach. He was very impressed that I was educating the golfers of Australia about the value of the Pilatus PC12. Of course, it goes over the weather, not through the weather, never delayed because it's pressurized, goes up there with the big ones. But it was great to meet, I'd never met John Dyer. It was great to meet him, and he's a cracking fella. You know what he calls his dog? You know what his dog's name is?
No.
He said, I named my dog after this name because I've never met anyone who's a bad bloke with this name.
I don't know. Ross?
His dog's name's Rossco.
Really?
Yeah. He called me Rossco all day. I said, no one calls me Rossco. Like, everyone calls me Ross. But, other than, call myself Rossco on here. Yeah. And just because he called his dog Rossco, he called me Rossco. That was quite nice. Beautiful dog. G'day, John. Nice to meet you. Good Hamilton boy. Great business, Air Adventure. Once again, not sponsored. We've never travelled down there with Air Adventure. I told him that Mike's only ever gone down there with the competition. And he hasn't fully appreciated the value of going over the weather, not through the weather. But anyway, we'll get down there.
Under the clouds, yeah.
Would anyone be interested in a mile of golf Barnbougle trip? Where should we go? Cape Wickham and do the cheese/golf tour, or should we go to Barnbougle?
I'm debating about. I know we're just completely going off topic.
Well, not really, because it is public access golf, and the number 1, 2, and 3 of the public access golf courses in Australia.
Yeah, no, I'm debating about heading down at Christmas, just between Christmas and New Year, to King Island, which is a bad time for most people, but I think I might. I just got to wait and figure it out in the next week or two.
Well, that's great for you. You go on, you go and do your trip. But what about the mile of golf? Pilatus PC12, fly in, fly out, play some golf trip.
Oh, people are keen to do it. You never have to twist my arm to go and play good golf courses.
Does anyone want to join us on that trip? You've got to let us know. If you've listened to 50 odd minutes in, let us know, and we can look at putting a trip together. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm always up for that.
Public golf in Melbourne.
Well, I want to say short course, which we didn't get to see.
Yeah, we didn't go back. That's the reason. So, are we doing King Island and Barnbougle, or we just do one or the other?
I have nothing else to do except for go to work, and so I can earn enough money to play golf. So I'm always up for it.
Okay. How long do we need? Yeah. What I don't know is, can they drop you off and you can stay for a couple of days and then stay at a couple of days? Can it be like a 4 or 5 day?
You definitely can, because when we take customers down, we fly. We've got 2 sites. One site is in Burnie, which is about an hour and a bit out of Barnbougle, and then our other site's King Island. So we definitely do the jump from Melbourne to Burnie, Burnie to KI, KI to Melbourne. So it can be done. Okay. And I'm sure the Air Adventures guys do those tours as well. We'll investigate. If you're keen, let us know. Okay. Public access golf in Melbourne for the Ginger Ninja and the Pools. Thoughts? It's funny because when I thought about it, there's no wrong answer. So if you think about something that's good value, and you said, like, I think we were talking about it before, St. Andrews Beach. St. Andrews Beach is ranked number, 10 or 12 of all courses in Australia, or maybe higher than that. No, I'm talking of including private. That'd be top couple in public easily. Mm-hmm. So if someone said it's $100 to play it, you'd be like, well, that's great value. But I sort of was trying to think of it in a way of the first thing I probably go to is monetary value, and I sort of say Sandy's, whatever I said the other day, $45, $50 is good, really good value for public courses in Melbourne, and it's close to town, which is good. And that for me is one of those things that you always have to weigh up. If I was going to go and play golf tomorrow and someone said you can drive from my house down to the dunes, which I love to do, it's probably an hour 20 to get there. So I've got to take that into account as well. But yeah, just for courses that you can't miss on the public road are the ones that most people play. Like we said, the dunes, St. Andrews Beach, Sandy, the other side of the bay, you've got 13th Beach, you've got Lonsdale. They're all exceptional opportunities. Probably the ones that I'd put outside of that people don't play often but should One of them is my background. That's Flinders.
Mm-hmm.
Flinders is a course that not many people play. I think midweek I think the green fees are about $35, and the stretch of holes from, I want to say 4 through about 12 or 13 with the views back over the water are unreal. Absolutely exceptional little course. Kerr Lewis on the other side. Kerr Lewis is one that not many people play. Great value again. It'd be more than $50, I would think, to play, and it's a really, really nice little course and never gets too crazy. They got the new driving ranges. Well, it's probably not that new now, but they've got all the fancy driving range stuff that there now, and they're getting a lot more people through. So that'd be the two opposite sides of the world that I'd probably put on a game that I'd say, people are looking for somewhere a little bit different, and put them in the rotation.
We are blessed on either side of the peninsula, over the Bellarine. You have to play Lonsdale Links. We talked about it before. You've got the template holes there. So if you haven't had the opportunity to play at a North Berwick and see a Biarritz green or a Redan or the Road Hole green, Ashley Mead's built that into the course there. You've got the coffin bunkers of is it Marion?
The church pews.
Church pews at Marion?
No, it's
Oakmont, sorry.
I was going to say Oak Hill, but I knew it wasn't Oak Hill. Yeah.
Oakmont, sorry. They've got the church pew bunkers. Okay, it's all different, but they've got those features, and it does make that course a little bit special. Square greens, you've got to look at the square greens, because if you look at them flat, you can't really see, but you get up to the edge of it. I think it might be the second or the third.
Yep.
That's down near that dam, or not the dam, it's a big lake, but backs onto the water, and that's a square green. Now, why they fourth, that's it. Why they square? Because in Scotland, when these courses were built, fences were straight lines, so they had to have fences around the greens, and you go to Broad and there still are fences around the greens. The greens were square for sheep fences, things like that. So you've got to do that. 13th Beach is great, beach course, and the creek course. So plenty of great golf over there. Over here in the peninsula, what? I think for me, St Andreas Beach is a standout. I love it. It's a doak course.
Yep.
It's got everything that's, synonymous with, I think, doak, from what I've read and what I've experienced at the Gunnamatta course there. Renaissance Club over in Scotland, generous off the tee, ask a lot of questions into the green.
Yep.
Little saucer, reverse upside down saucer greens. You've really got to be on your game, but it's fairly generous off the tee, so it's not too penal. You don't lose a lot of balls, but to score well, you've got to play great shots into the greens. But it's just on a great piece of land. I actually put the drone up there last week when I was there. It was some decent footage.
Every time I get to the 16th, the par 3 on that course, I always look off to the left-hand side, and I'm assuming that's where the original second course was supposed to go.
It is.
And you just look at the land there and you think, you can see that there could easily be another course there. The terrain just looks amazing.
That's exactly where it is on the master plan, I believe. We were talking to Phil about that the other day. And, I think maybe one day there will be another course there. Should be.
Yeah.
Great.
It was derelict for many, many moons ago when I sold beer for a living. I lived in Perth, and I used to play at Kennedy Bay in Perth. I used to play a lot of golf in Perth, but I played a lot of golf at Kennedy Bay, and they had a sister course in Melbourne, which just opened, and it was St Andrews Beach. And they were doing a deal where you could be a member and you could play between both of them. And I thought about it because I was spending a lot of time in Melbourne, a lot of time in Perth, and and then went bankrupt. So this course in Melbourne that I'd heard so much about that I was really keen to go and play, well, it wasn't there anymore. So it was overgrown. I don't know. You probably remember, but I don't know how long it was there for. It was just sitting dormant.
I think they did maintain it for, just to keep it in some level of not playable condition, but just, so the bones of the golf course were maintained.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was largely just dormant for a while. It was a number of years. I'm not sure if I was playing back then.
Yeah.
I joined Mornington, but yeah, anyway, still remember the first time I played there. Couldn't believe it.
I want to say 2005.
Yeah, probably about then.
Yeah.
Cape Shank, great course down there. It's part of the RACV conglomerate now, and to Robert Trent Jones. So anytime that you're playing a course that's got some level of known golf architectural sort of significance behind it, you're always going to have a great golf experience. So
I'm going to tell you something about that course. So I hadn't played Cape Schanck in a million years because, every time we go down there, we do the same thing as most people. We go to Portsea, or we go to the Dunes, or we go to St Andrews Beach. And one of the boys said, let's go and play Cape Schanck. Fantastic, let's do it. So we went and played at our GMGA round there last year or 2 years ago. And I know he's not listening. So Daniel Igo was the man. And if anyone knows Daniel, you can remind him of this. I was doing the scores that day. So the cards were coming in, and I was just double checking anyone who was in the top couple so that, we weren't going to get any issues with anyone's cards. And this card came in, and it was handed over by young Scott McGregor, who'd been scoring for Daniel that day. And he handed me the card, and I looked at it, and I shook my head and I said to myself, how is it we've been doing this for 8 years and these guys still don't know how to score Stableford? Like, it's just ridiculous that they just putting their stroke score down. And then I looked at it, and I'm looking at it again, and I look up at Scott, and Scott's got a smirk on his face. And then I realized it wasn't his stroke score. It was his Stableford score. He had 51 points. 51 points.
51 points? You don't even have that in a 4-ball best ball if you have.
I couldn't, but it was unheard of. And as much as no one listening to this is going to believe me, he's not a bandit. He's just a normal golfer. His normal scores are probably floating between, like everybody else, 25 and 36. And he just had a day where everything went right. He drove a couple of greens. He's a big hitter. But 51. There was no need for a countback, as you can probably imagine, because I don't think anybody got within 8.
Front nine's very gettable there at RACV. The back nine's very challenging, but it's always enjoyable. You've got what else you got? You've got Eagle Ridge down there, but the one we played yesterday, the Dunes, it's probably second favourite course. And then you've got the Moon and Links courses. There's got the Legend and the Open course, the Open being the Peter Thompson course, and the Legend course being the Rossco Parrot course. Johnny Parrott was one of the people putting the Under Armour day on yesterday. G'day to John, great guy. That's Ross's son. Yeah, the Mornington Peninsula Sport for Choice, and even some of the smaller public access courses like Mornington. It's a members course. You'll never hear a bad word about Mornington from me, and I think it's still very much an undiscovered gem by a lot of people. I think it's tucked away in that little bit of land between Mount Eliza and Mornington, and still not a lot of people realise that you can go and play it, and it's for the views alone sensational. It's not a links course. Being that it is on the water and it's on a hill and it's fairly slopey. It goes from the top of the hill and the slopes down towards the cliff. But the views, not that just gives you a degree of undulation and interest. They've got a master plan in play down there. It's great. A couple of new holes. There's a new hole being built, a new 6th. So it's just a club that's evolving. It's quite financially in a great position, so they can do this master plan work, which a lot of courses can't do at the moment or haven't been doing. But just to stand on pretty much maybe 15 of the 18 tees and be able to see from Portsea to the city and across to the Yangs, it's a pretty relaxing place to play 18 holes of golf. Great value again. It might be $50 for a round of golf. Don't quote me on that. But it's great down there. Now, getting closer to the city, now, I've not played heaps and heaps of golf. Sandy Links, I played there. Where else have we got closer to the city of Melbourne?
Yeah, it's tricky. Playing closer to town's always difficult. But at the same time, there's not many places in the world where you can have a course like, say, Albert Park, right? There's not many other cities in the world where for probably $30, $35, you can play 18 holes within 5 kilometres of the city any day of the week.
No one does that. It is fairly unique to be playing down the second and the first and the second and the third and have the background of the skyline in the background, the Albert Park Lake, one of the world's Formula One tracks.
Definitely.
Just to your left. When you think about it on that scale, it is a pretty unique destination. Yarra Bend or Albert Park, what do you prefer?
Yarra Bend. Yarra Bend. Since the guys took over there a few years back, the course has gone from strength to strength. The facilities there are exceptional. The driving range and everything else is really, really good. But the greens have probably been the one thing that have just gone through the roof. Yeah. They're always good. Come summertime, they're quick, they're true. They're really, really good. You know, like you said, the bones of the course is still there. It hasn't changed. You know, the layout's pretty similar. They've flipped the nines. They've changed a few of the holes around from, you know, when I was a kid, the first was an ugly little par 4 that then finished and then went and stood on the second tee because it was a blind shot over the trees, and you'd end up with 3 groups, 4 groups standing on that second hole waiting. It was a bit silly, whereas now it flows, which is much, much better. But the course is jam-packed every weekend, and you still go around in a good time, and it's in good nick. It'll be interesting to see, because we're playing there this weekend. It'll be interesting to see how it goes after the rain we've had, because it is very close to the Yarra.
Yep.
So it does hold a lot of water. Be interesting to see how much of it's sort of gone away.
If you are visiting Melbourne for golf, that is one thing, you know, on those courses that are near the Yarra River, and there's a little belt of golf courses, Kew, Greenacres,
Ivanhoe's down there too.
Ivanhoe, Latrobe, Yarra Bend. Now, some you will be able to get onto, some you can't. But you know, when there is a bit of rain, the water table rises. It's near the Yarra, so obviously a lot of water runs through there. They've, you know, Kew, for example, they've spent a lot of money on drainage, so it's playable all the time. But it's different it's just different terrain to a sandbelt. So I don't expect Melbourne sandbelt in that part of Melbourne. Yeah, Yarra Bend. So when you say the guys that have now taken it over, who, you know, I know who you're referring to, but you know, who are you talking about?
I don't know I don't know all of them. I know. Yes. I don't know the owners. I don't know. I think Paul Sheehan's involved. I think there's a few.
Sheo and Ogilvy, and there's a handful of other people that are all, you know, very astute golf minds.
Yeah.
And you know, have put a lot of effort into making Yarra Bend, you know, probably the premier close to the city public access. It's not just a golf course. There's the putt, there's the driving range, the cafe and bar and that sort of thing. So yeah, it really is a inner city destination. And as you say, it's always pretty busy.
I went down there once. I talked Mrs. Magic Mike into coming down to the driving range. When I say that, I mean, she watched me hit golf balls for half an hour. And she hit a couple here and there. And under the proviso, we'd have a little mini golf at the end, which is great. You know, we went and had a mini golf, and here's me in my golf shorts and polo shirt after hitting range balls for half an hour, and walked in to get my colourful golf ball and my putter. Not my putter, the putter I give you when you play mini golf. And the lady behind the counter said, "You are the best dressed mini golf player we have ever had." And I took that, and I went and beat the hell out of Mrs. Magic Mike at mini golf, which was good.
The one time that I got Mrs. My Love Golf to join me at the driving range, it was the MGA, which is, once again, if you're visiting Melbourne, in and around the sand belt. It's just at the back of Moorabbin Airport, which is just near Kingston Heath and, you know, the capital. So it's fairly well located. Melbourne Golf Academy, great driving range. We had a bit of a shopping trip to DFO. That's her favourite sandbelt destination for shopping, not for golf. And I said, "Can we just nip into the driving range? I've just got to, you know, knock a few balls down the range." Yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah. I said, "I can just video my swing." Unlike me to ask someone to video my swing. She videoed my swing for all of 3 shots, and one of those was a shank into the timber on the side. I was trying to hit stingers, and I buddy shanked one into the divider.
She gave it away.
She didn't know. She actually didn't know what had happened. She, "What was that?" I said, "Oh, don't worry."
No.
I turned around and went, "Cut." Ranfurly, what does that figure for you, Ranfurly? And if we look at out that way, and Sandhurst?
Yeah, Sandhurst, Gardiner's Run, and there's a lot of courses out that way. I haven't played as much. I played Ranfurly. I played them all over the last 5 or 6 years. Look, they're all good courses. They're probably just not on my destination, because for me, from the northwest, if I'm sort of traveling, if I'm getting out to Ranfurly towards Cranbourne Way and those courses,
you're going down.
I'll go an extra half an hour down and play down the peninsula. Yep. The one that probably the only one we didn't talk about before was Portsea. Portsea's an exceptional course.
It is.
It's another 20 minutes though, once you sort of get from the dunes down to the end of the freeway down to Portsea. So that's always a tricky one. Just that little bit extra on the trip, especially when you're sort of trying to get out of there on a Sunday afternoon. It makes it a bit hard travel wise.
Good layout, great undulation. It's typical let's call it a peninsula course. It's old. It's an old school course. It's had a bit of, work over the years as they've changed they built the new clubhouse and changed a couple of holes. But go and see Johnny Burberg's down there. Yeah, great man. He'll look after you. G'day to Johnny, fellow PK member that works down there and runs the place down at Portsea. But yeah, that's a good one to get onto. Where else?
Look, the only other ones we sort of haven't really talked about is the ones that are probably the newer ones up in the north. So Growling Frog and Mandalay are the two that are up on the north, so up on the Hume, heading towards Sydney if you're driving out of Melbourne. So you go 40 minutes north, you turn right and you head off to Growling Frog, which is it's Graham Marsh designed, I believe.
Yep.
And then probably if you don't get off and turn right, you head a little bit further up to the highway to Beveridge, you get to Mandalay, which is another newer course. It's been around for a few years now, but it is the newer ones. And they're both great little courses that, they offer something a bit different. I think I played Growling Frog only a couple of weeks ago. It's always in, pretty good condition. It gets very busy, so it can be a little bit slow. But it was, it's always good to be outside hitting golf balls. And the other one that's out there that nobody would ever play, or not a lot of people ever head out to play, is probably I can't think of any other island greens that we have here in Victoria.
Hidden Valley
with the Island Green 18th.
It was like one of the original sort of resort / courses that had a residential estate around it.
Yeah.
I remember it when I first moved to Melbourne being built, and I thought, oh wow, golf course with houses around it.
Well,
that's interesting.
Horses. It was Robert Holmes à Court's equestrian land, so it was like, well, he owned a lot, and that's what it turned into. And it's quite different. The houses are all that Spanish villa-y looking houses. It is an interesting place out there at Wallen, but
never played it.
I haven't played there in a long time. Played it a few times. When they first opened it, it was good. It was just a normal sort of little country golf course. And then Craig Parry redid it a few years down the track, made a few nice changes. And there's some good little holes there. The Island Green is the Island Green. It's a little bit of a novelty. Probably not the funnest shot in the middle of winter with a bit of wind coming into you. You got a little bit. It's one of those greens you can't go too wide, but you can go a club long or a club short if you're aiming at the middle, and you're going to be okay. But there'll be a few golf balls in that dam, I can tell you that. There'll be more than a few. But there are some nice holes there.
So as we wrap up a little bit of this sort of butcher's tour of Melbourne, there's a few courses out in the eastern suburbs that we haven't really spoke about. Moorac, Scotty Gardner, say g'day to Scotty Gardner out at Moorac, public access course out there, and then a little bit further to the east. Eastern, can you get on to Eastern and Eastwood and those sorts of courses out there?
Not sure about Eastern. I know
that's Pultz's home course.
Pultz's home course, yeah. No, I haven't played it. I did play the old Eastern many years ago, but no, I haven't played the new one since they moved, they've been out there a long time now, but never played there.
We've got Latrobe. Not sure if Latrobe public access as well as a members course there, but Latrobe's a good course to get a whack on. And as we come back over to the west of Melbourne, of course, there's a couple of biggies out there that get a bit of play. Yep. Probably the big one that's probably, I would think, grown its, I guess, in popularity, grown in its visibility in terms of marketing is Mount Derrimut.
Yeah, Mount Derrimut. It's the new Sunshine Golf Club. So the old one was on the other side of the freeway, and they've built it. It's a very open golf course. It is long-ish, especially if the wind's up. There's a few long holes, especially on the back nine, that are quite long. It's a good, it's a very open course. Big greens though on a few of the holes. So if you do want to make a score, you're going to need to hit them pretty close. Some good undulations between a few of the greens as well. It is a course you could probably get a bit of a hold of. The front nine, especially if you're hitting the ball reasonable off the tee, you can do some damage on that front nine. It's not a bad course. And then the one that's just a little bit south of that is Sanctuary Lakes. Yep. So Sanctuary Lakes down in Point Cook. Yeah.
Greg Norman course. I was a little bit, I guess, scathing of it in its early days. Like off the fairway, it was still very bare, and the rough hadn't grown in. And, like it had the bones of a great course, but I played it somewhat recently, maybe early this year, and I was quite impressed with the way that it had come on and the way that it shaped up. That rough had grown in, so you had proper rough now. It wasn't clay. You can tell it. You can tell a Greg Norman course when you play one. It's got some. It reminds me of the vintage in the Hunter Valley a little bit, not so much of the Greg Norman course down at the Peninsula, but very much like the vintage in some respects. But it's enjoyable out there at Sanctuary Lakes.
It is. They've done some smart things there too, and cleared out some trees and probably sped up play a little bit. But like you said, it's always the trickiest part. I think the first person that mentioned it to me when I told them where I lived, it was David Diaz in a Pro-Am one day, told me that, you live in a clay belt. So not the sand belt, it's the clay belt out our way. So it is tricky when you have courses like, we talked about Mount Derrimut and Sanctuary Lakes, because you're working with what you've got. And especially you get to winter, you're going to get some cluggy mud balls, and in summertime you're going to get some balls that can jump and jump and jump once they hit, because it can be pretty rock hard.
Yeah. Dave Diaz, there's a name I haven't heard of for a while. Dave was I remember at the first ever Jack Newton Sub-Junior Classic, which was a 36-hole event back in the day. Dave was on the Victorian team, came up to Cessnock, and he was one of the guns. Didn't win, but I remember seeing Dave Diaz up there. So he's always stuck with me ever since. And obviously in Melbourne, he's still at Albert Park, I think now. But he's been, he won a event in the Australian Tour, won the Coolum Classic, I think. What a big event. It was the Coolum there. Dave Diaz, there you go. There's a name.
I played with him 2 years in a row at the Eagle Ridge Pro-Am. And I remember the first time I met him, I knew who he was, and I was a bit nervous. It was probably one of the first Pro-Ams I'd ever played in. And we got to about the third hole, and I'd hit a drive that wasn't a great drive. It had half clipped the branch, 100 metres off the tee, and probably got out to about 180. He's hit one of his booming, 270, 300 metre drives back then. And we played with the second pro who'd done the same, and the second am had put one out there as well. And as we were sort of walking off the tee box, he said, "Did you, are you happy for me to talk about, some tips today?" I said, 100%. If you got something that's going to help me play better. He's like, with driving it, if you're going to sort of hit it out there, he goes, you should probably take the head cover off your driver before you hit it. I was just sitting there going, I thought he was about to give me some sage advice here on how to hit my drive better. He just was winding me up in a nice way.
Bloody taking slightly your powder puffs.
Bloody David Diaz.
I did get knocked off on the long drive yesterday at the dunes.
Oh, really?
One of the boys from Future Golf, Ali, was down there, and one of the other colleagues from Future Golf were there, and I think maybe Justin pipped me on the long drive. I got one of my colleagues in my same group, beat John from Air Adventure. He hit the low ball, the low runner. I hit the high one.
Yep.
Dylan Shield did hit one past me about 30. He's got biceps about the size of a Sharon football.
Yep.
But he had lost his first one to the right, so he hit a provisional, and it was about 10 or 15 past me, but mine was an original ball.
The original.
But I didn't win.
Which hole do they use? 18, 17, 16? Par 5?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Yeah, it was on the back nine because the front nine. Yeah. Okay, and got to finish on my first ever golfing experience in Melbourne, Royal Newport. First,
I've played so many golf courses. I've played all over the country. I played courses around the world. That course is probably the only course I've never played.
You've never played Royal Newport?
It's about 5 minutes from my house.
It's the first ever golf course that I played in Victoria when moving down here in 1995. I was working at Suzuki Australia. The head office was in Hall Street, which is just at the end of where Royal Newport is. Of course, it's not Royal Newport. What is it called? Is it just
Westgate?
Westgate, that's it.
Right under the bridge.
So if you've driven across that big bridge in Melbourne, there's two big bridges. One's the Balti Bridge that takes you to the airport with the big sticks, and the other one's the Westgate Bridge, the one that goes up and over.
Over towards Geelong.
Yeah, it runs underneath that. The first hole is a par 3, and then you walk under the bridge and away you go. That was the first ever golf course. It's actually quite cute's not the right word, but it's okay. I don't mind going and playing. People think I'm a golf snob. You know, I wear a Peninsula Kingswood hat, and they think, "Oh, you're a snob. You're not going to come and play here. Oh, you wouldn't come and play with me because I only play at this." It's so far from the truth. You know, like I remember going to play at Freeway Golf Course with, you know, the Melbourne City boys, and I just loved it. You know, it doesn't. And I think more people are like that. You know, it's great to get onto these big courses and play, and
of course,
you know, but I'm as happy hitting a golf ball at, you know, Royal Newport as I am anywhere. You know, like same in Scotland.
I can tell you now, there's one course that's on my list. It's probably the top of my list of courses that I want to play in Melbourne. When I say it's not the top of my list, but it's one course that I'm dying to play. And if I gave you 150 guesses, you would not get it right.
Royal There we go. Well, we did not know that.
No, that's not it. The one that I'm.
Sorry. Go on. Oh, right. The one that
is the one at the Laverton Air Force Base.
Ah.
Did you know there was a golf course there?
Yeah, I think I did.
There's a golf course there in Laverton. It's on the Air Force Base. It's got security there. I've looked it up. You can play, but you need some sort of clearance and you got to sign something. I'm going to go out there and play it one day. I'm sure it's not going to be anything to write home about, but I just think it'd be very interesting to go and play golf on the Air Force Base.
Is it just off the side to the old runways and that sort of thing?
I think there used to be a runway there. Yeah, they were flying in and out of there once upon a time.
I think the runways are still there. We used to do some motorcycle training. I think you could go and get your motorcycle license there, and the runways are still there. They've got big cracks in them, but the Point Cook Air Force Base. There you go. Haven't played there. Haven't played in Geelong down there. Haven't played Lara.
I played in the old Geelong golf course, something Valley, Barwon Valley. I played there, and because I went to Deakin Uni down there, so I played a lot of golf down that way. But again, most of the time, you'd play at Torquay, which is now RACV as well, and that's been changed around a little bit, and that's a great little course. And I think most people that are travelling to Melbourne, if they want to go and play a course down there, they all go to Anglesey to see the Kangaroos.
Let's go and play Royal Westgate one afternoon. Yeah. You and I will go down to Royal Westgate and we'll reconnect down there.
Done.
Ginger Ninja and or Daniel and Pultz, if that's answered your question, that is a whirlwind tour of 20 minutes of most of the courses that we can recount off the top of our heads late at night in Melbourne. It's a great place to play golf. There's plenty. There's golf here for everyone. If you are visiting from whatever part of the world, as we reopen our borders, have we hit 90% of vaccinations rates any day now?
I think so, yeah, something like that. I've stopped paying attention.
Yeah, as we open up and people start traveling again, Melbourne's a great place to come and play golf. You can play at any level of golf, some of the best in the world, and some of the easiest courses in the world, some of the easiest to get on, some of the most affordable. It's all here for you. Once again, it's not brought to you by Visit Victoria, Visit Tasmania or anyone, but we just love our golf. Mike, great to catch up with you.
Good to catch up. If anyone's got any more questions, send them in.
And if you want to come on the inaugural My Love of Golf trip to Barnbougle/King Island, tell us. We'll Air Adventure, Pilatus PC12. We're on. See you next time.